Welcome to the show that looks at truth, fiction, and reality with a smirk. I'm Aaron Peterson.
I'm Amanda Sink.
And I'm Zach Parkerson.
Welcome back to Season 2 of Smirk. Each week, one of our hosts introduces an original story, which we then use as a springboard for a spirited and lighthearted discussion on whatever the moral or theme of their story is. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite app, review us in Apple Podcasts, or just visit smirkpodcast.com. This week, it is Amanda's turn.
It's mine. I'm going to read you a story, and it's not even that long.
I doubt that.
It's not. This is probably the shortest I've ever written.
It doesn't matter how short the story is, her conversation will be long.
I mean, he's not wrong.
You know, I really wonder if you understand the definition of what conversation is versus monologue.
I'm excellent with
monologues. Have you ever seen a
monologues.
James Bond movie? When the villain is talking and Bond is just nodding and he's like, okay, all right, are you done yet? That's a monologue. When he's like, hey, how you doing? I'm doing well. And they kind of go back and forth. How's the weather? Your wife good? Life good? He doesn't have a wife. She's dead. But any of those kind of things where you go back and forth, that's a conversation.
Okay, so how's the weather?
Frightful.
Cold.
How's your wife?
Dead.
I'm really good at this, guys.
See? There you go. You're understanding.
Why is nobody asking me questions back?
No one cares about the villain.
Oh, it's sad.
We don't want the long answers. How are you, Amanda? Are you ready to tell your story?
I am. If you guys are ready to listen.
See, you could have just stopped at I am. That's how conversations work. I am, period.
Wait, Amanda, how's the weather?
It's great. No, it's awful.
That's very I have no idea how the weather is.
You have to give it an actual answer. You can't go like both ways. It's great. It's mediocre. It's awful.
Yeah. Pick which one you think it is. I let you decide.
Wow. That's the society we're in now. Just make everybody happy. Just be people pleasers. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
No, Aaron, you got on your soapbox last week about this, all right?
Oh, you want to talk about politics? We can do that.
We're not talking about politics.
You know, it'd
today.
be warmer if the Republicans would stop with climate change or something. I don't remember what I'm saying.
If we built a wall all the way around the country, it would keep all the heat in.
Could you build a wall across the world, like outside the planet? Like just have a force field kind of Death Star?
I think that exists.
I don't think, well, not anymore. That's the problem.
The hairspray in the 80s really kind of deteriorated
Did you see the hair? The hair itself was high enough to start poking holes in it. All right, let's get to your story. It's time for Amanda's story.
All right, snuggle in.
What?
I want people to get snuggly.
What are those blanket robes that were all the rage about 5 years ago?
Robes?
No, they were blank.
Oh, snuggies?
Yeah, is that what they are?
Where you put your arms through it and then it's a blanket? It's a blanket but with arms? Yeah, I have two of those.
Oh my God.
They're still making those?
Well, no, I've had mine for a long time.
You should throw it away.
One is a Boston Celtics and one is a Chicago Bears.
Yeah, when I think of you, I think Boston Celtics.
I was a big fan of Rajon Rondo, man.
Yeah. Still follow the old Celtics, do you?
No, because Rajon Rondo left.
So you're a fan
He's
of
with the
one
Lakers.
player. So are you a Laker fan now?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Rajon Rondo.
Do you have a Laker Snuggie?
I should get one.
Do they make them still?
I don't know.
You should not.
I don't think so. Anyway, let's move on.
No, let's talk more about your sad childhood.
I want to get her a Snuggie that just has Rajon Rondo's face on it.
We're going to have creepy. All right, you ready? Let's do this.
We were ready like 5 minutes ago.
You kept talking.
No, we were having a conversation. That's probably, you're not used to the other people that talk in the room. I get it.
All right, shh. Runner's high. That's what they say. You can go and go and go just off that high. Headphones in, music up, total distraction and complete isolation. You can go through your favorite neighborhood, run on your favorite trail, or maybe at a really beautiful park nearby. The best escape, they say. But no one ever tells you the danger that lurks. The branches in the path, the dog feces grossly about, and the people lurking in the shadows. The people who recall your routine, who can spot you, and can take everything you love away from you, the criminals. She was in a runner's high, I'm sure, just going about her evening the way she did all of the time, at her favorite park. But this night was different. This night changed everything for her. She was young, in her late 20s, with her whole life still ahead of her, when she was found in a ravine. Beaten, raped, she was left alone with a near-death skull fracture. She was taken advantage of. Her sense of peace was ripped out from under her. The men prosecuted, or rather boys, I should say, since they were all minors, who confessed to the crime after a lengthy interrogation time without food or water, spent no more than 13 years in prison. Is that just? I mean, what kind of system do we have where a woman can spend almost 2 weeks in a coma for her assailants to only spend approximately 1 year for every day she was incapacitated? There wasn't much evidence outside their confessions, aside from being near the scene, which when presented during the trial showed inconsistencies. But a confession feels like a slam dunk. 13 years later. He's already been convicted of murder and serial rape, serving a minimum of 33 years in prison when he makes an additional confession. The rape and assault in the park? That was him. Why, after all this time, would you make this confession? Sole responsibility. Is it because you enjoy the attention? You wanted the praise? These what-ifs and questions linger in my mind about you. I wish I understood your motives. Runner's high, eh? Is it worth the risk?
At the end of the news story?
Yeah.
Okay. I think everybody do a shot if Amanda says
Yep.
rape.
If you're playing your Smirk bingo at home, the sexual assault reference has been hit.
I think 3 or 4 times. And
No.
this one, I wouldn't even, is that a story or is that just a news report? I'm not sure exactly.
That was really good.
Breaking news. Amanda told a sexual assault story again.
I've had like one other story about this.
When she was talking about like the criminal stalking, I was like, oh, we're about to see the birth of the Batman.
That's a story for another time.
And then it got dark. Darker than Batman.
Well, what do you guys think the moral of my story is?
Don't let Amanda write stories.
Wow.
Hold.
Oh my god.
You can't say that.
Uh,
That's going to be a big long bleep when people hear that and they can just guess whatever he said.
that's good.
Fill in the bleep. That's the game we're playing this week on Smirk.
I
feel
don't
feisty
even.
this week.
Oh my god, I don't even have a response for that right now.
I do. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Thank
Shameful.
you.
And you should probably be just go in a corner.
You've just lost your job. I hope you know that.
Yeah, no. In 10 years, I will lose my job. I'm good. I'm good until then.
He's got to be famous first.
Man, that confessions can't be trusted.
Moral to that story? I mean, it's a really dour story. I don't really know if there's a... I don't want to say don't run at night because it's not her, it's not the running's fault. It's not her fault for running at night. You can never... It's never too late for personal responsibility.
That's interesting. That's definitely not the direction I went with at all.
Truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't... What's the moral?
I mean, originally I just wanted to go with like runner's high is rough. Like... Maybe you shouldn't.
It's your story. You should know what the moral is.
The moral of the story is pretty close to what Zach said in that confessions can't be trusted, but not everything is what it appears. Because in this story...
Well, it kind of is because they were convicted and he confessed to doing it. So it's exactly what it is.
I thought someone else confessed.
Someone else confessed.
Oh, I was too busy doing my shots. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the original one, the people who were convicted who had given confessions... They are not the same people who was that one man 13 years later. So they're two different ones.
So they were innocent?
Were they?
Well, because somebody else confessed that wasn't one of the convicted. I guess that's where I'm confused. I thought it was one of the guys that was convicted that was. Well, I'm confused. So somebody who was not responsible, that was not convicted,
who was not originally convicted, but was convicted for something else, confessed.
So they probably didn't do it.
Or maybe they did. This guy's just, maybe he's doing them a favor.
But they're already out, right? This is like 13 years later when they're already out kind of thing?
The confession gets them out. The other man's confession. So the 13 years later man is in jail.
Did she not see her assailants? I'm assuming this is a true story, by the way, because this feels too...
Well, I was going to tell you all the information
BBC.
in my question, but this is, if you haven't figured out, it's the Central Park jogger case. 28-year-old woman who was jogging one evening on April 19th of 1989 was found brutally beaten and raped and left in a ravine. The men who were originally convicted were actually exonerated, and they were coined the term the Central Park Five, received a huge settlement
there was
for the...
five of them?
5 of them who were wrongfully
case.
convicted.
5 is a lot.
It is.
Man, you get...
My God.
How many bleeps can we have in one episode?
I'm never doing a story like this again. But Mattias Reyes confessed to the crime 13 years later. Mattias was actually in jail for another murder and for serial rape and was serving a minimum of 33 years. And after these men were already in jail serving their time for something they did not do, then he said, oh no, I did it. And they found DNA that matched him to the scene.
Oh. Well, that means we would have had DNA to begin with. So did they not try to match it to one of the 5 guys to begin with?
It sounds this, and that's why this case is.
This has gotten fascinating, Zach. Now I'm all on board. I'm all
you're asking all the questions.
Yeah, you are. So the DNA, there wasn't the only evidence that they had against those 5 men is that they were in the area and they were actually kind of messing
like
with other
peeing on the woods nearby, or what?
They were messing with bicyclists, like throwing rocks towards the ground at like bicyclists.
See, here's the moral you should have told. Right there. Don't do stupid stuff like that, and you won't be convicted of crimes you didn't commit.
Actions have consequences.
Yeah. You talk about cycling. You shouldn't bicycle.
That's another way to look at it. Don't fit.
Exercise. It's bad for you. But this is one of the most prolific cases in terms of racial profiling because
Are they all black?
All 5 of the men were black. And they were all minors. They were all under the age of 18, ranging from 14 to 16.
They were railroaded.
And when they were with them and their attorneys had said after they did their confessions that they were coerced into confessions. They were left without any food or water for 24 hours. And so at that point, you're 14, 16 years old. You're a black man or a black child in the late 80s. Do you make the confession so you can just...
That would make sense. There's no DNA back in the 1980s. So
pre-OJ. Because that was one of the biggest cases that debuted DNA as essential evidence point, right?
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of arguments
I don't really know
about
the Central
DNA.
Park. I'm shocked. I know so much true crime. I don't know.
This one was huge. It was huge.
It was in the 80s. I was watching a lot of Lost Boys at the time and just wearing the trench coat and trying to get that mullet going.
This case was actually still prominent in 2016. And
because they got out?
No, they got out in 2002-ish, somewhere around there, because that's when the guy came forward. And they received $41 million in settlement for the wrongful conviction.
Dude, I would go to jail for 13 years for $41 million.
But the reason this became so prominent back in 2016 is because when...
I mean, not now, because I'll be dead in 13 years, but like a long time ago, I would have done a stint for $41 million. You come out and you just like party, and it's just bam, bam, bling, bling.
Prior to Trump going on his presidential campaign, he actually advocated on this case. Like, he took a true passion into it, and it got into the realms of news media again, because he was saying, if you've made the confession, you're guilty of it. How can we go against that where we just accept someone else's?
Well, there's coerced confessions all over.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different elements that play into this, but it's been a longstanding case. I mean, you talk about 1989, and it's not like they assaulted multiple women. It was one woman.
See, Zach, this is a monologue example again. Everybody playing at home.
I'm fascinated we mentioned Trump twice in a row.
Yeah, it's the last time. His name is not going to come up again.
Well, it's not to say anything bad. It's just saying that's the reason it came back into the media. Is it's still a prolific case. But someone had
a trigger warning wherever they were driving.
They heard the name. Somebody's in a ditch. Oh no!
We don't want that where somebody's writing a review. They can't stop mentioning Trump, or I wish they'd mentioned Trump more. You just want to keep the name on
it's no political thing. It's just interesting. And I didn't even realize he played a part into it until I started researching it some more.
So what are the questions? Do you have any, or did I ask?
I do.
Did I ask them all?
Well, I wanted to ask you guys how you feel about the confession 13 years later.
What, do I trust the guy, or?
Yeah, how do you feel about that kind of completely altering the case for them? One confession versus another.
Sounds like maybe confessions are a little imperfect. Maybe these guys conned the state out of $41 million.
Like they had it all set up. All right, Bob, in like 13 years, here's how we're going to play this. You do your stint.
They finally started talking to old Bob, and they're like, hey, man, you're going to be here for another 20 years anyway. Maybe you cop to our crime. We get out, get a settlement from the government. We'll give it to your commissary. You'll be set.
Wow. This actually, I mean, that sounds kind of plausible.
Yeah, if it's on television.
It would make it for a good movie.
If it's a soap opera, possibly.
New season of Prison Break.
Yeah.
That'll be the next year. I think confessions should be taken seriously, but there have been coerced confessions. I mean, it's well documented. In this day and age, I believe they take a very more like a business approach to interviews where everything is filmed. You can, you have more than one detective typically in the room at the same time, just so coerced confessions shouldn't happen as frequently.
Well, speaking of the videotaping, I believe 4 out of the 5 of them were videotaped in their confessions.
Yeah, but is that after they were roughed up in the back room and everything else, and then they come out and
they were slumming it for 24 hours, no food or water.
Yeah, that's not...
Didn't have their attorney or anything, so it was just those minors. They didn't have their parents present or anything.
That's illegal. That should have been something that took them to the Supreme Court, honestly. You have to have your parents or a lawyer present because you're a minor.
But was that the case 30 years ago?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I don't know if that was the law back then.
Yeah. That's something that we could look into because I don't have the answer. Google.com.
Yeah, we could look into that, but I'm not gonna. I'll be honest. I mean, it's 2019. I don't research when I'm listening to a podcast. I just assume that they're telling me the truth.
I think that's how all news works now.
Yeah.
You read a listicle and you're like, that's all obviously true.
Those are definitely the top 10 action movies of 1988.
Okay, so I'm going to go through 2 different types of questions. They're completely different. Aaron, you're a runner, but you're also a man. Do you ever worry when you're out running? Do you have any fears that something like this could happen to you, or is it different for you?
Oh, no, I get, yeah. Yep. I have actually been, I run a lot, like 4 or 5 times a week. I'm not going to tell anybody where because I don't want to be stalked, but yes, I have had situations where someone looked a little shady, where they were just, I don't know, they were out of place. Because I go a lot to a park, right? So at a park, you expect people to look like they're at the park. And every once in a while, you see somebody in like full black with a mask on and it's 60 degrees out. That's nerve-wracking. And I have seen that. I have ran right past a guy who was in full black wearing a mask. That was a little creepy. And I turned right around and ran back to my car. And I made sure that I had my phone on and, everything else. So, but then there's a lot of running across people having sex in the woods and, doing that sort of thing.
That's how you get, what if you get a tick in there, man?
What are you doing exactly? Like, why would you even think that's going to happen?
There's ticks in the woods.
All the things that can happen with sex, babies, STDs.
I'm worried about ticks.
You're going to tick.
Man, you're not very fun, huh?
Yeah, obviously not a party planner. So there's those kinds of things. They don't bother me, but every once in a while. And I have seen women running alone, and then people running behind them, and it looked where I would actually turn around and keep pace with the people behind them because it made me nervous for the girl. But that's about it. Really, the black mask was the bad one. But I have seen that happen to women a couple times where guys will keep pace with the woman in front of them, and I will definitely always turn around and try to keep up to make sure that they're okay.
So you're definitely going to die at some point. So
yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You said that there are moments where you are scared. What are your particular fears, just out of curiosity? Are you scared that somebody's going to mug you? Are you scared that you're going to get beat up, or they're going to do some dirty to you? What are your fears?
I'm not one of those stupid people. Look, it's stuff. If you could pull out a Bic razor and say, "Give me your stuff," I'm just going to throw it at you. It ain't worth my day. I'll get a new phone. I'll get new keys. Whatever. You can have it. I'm at the age where stuff isn't worth anything. 20 years ago, yeah, you ain't getting it. Come get it. Now I'm like, you know what? You can have it. You want me to? I'll bring you my TV if you want. Just leave me alone, man.
Somebody's going to show up to you with a Bic razor when they meet you.
My.
And they're going to be like, give me your keys and your money.
Okay, well, they're going to be in for a surprise because that's a lie. So I would definitely be fearful of things I can't see. So if because everybody that's listened before, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. I stopped doing that when I run because I can get freaked out when I'm doing that. But if I see like up ahead, I'm very attentive to my surroundings. I think it's very important. If I run down a path and if I see trees ahead and like one tree is moving, the rest of them are not, I turn around. Like I'm just very cautious about those things because that will freak me out a little bit. Because, it could be an animal, could not. And I just don't chance it. It's just not worth it to me. That might sound paranoid, but it's just being cautious.
I think that's about being cautious. Zach, what about you? I don't know if you're a runner, but if you were a runner, what sort of things would freak you out, or would you be scared at all?
No, I don't think I would be afraid. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't really assume that I'm going to get mugged every time I step outside of my house.
Well, that's a good feeling.
Yeah, Rambo, you're so tough. You're so manly. Are you like just touching your chest hair right now? Just going, yeah, I don't do that. I'm not scared.
That's very little chest hair. Belly hair, I got plenty. No, yeah, there's no way to really talk about this without try to come across as a tough guy. It's just, if I were to take the time to worry about every possibility, I feel like I would never get the things done I want to. So instead of being crippled by potential fear, I'm just going to do my thing. I would just jog, and if something comes up, I'll deal with it then.
I respect that. I mean, I'm not sitting there jumping off the lane every time I see a tree move. That's not what I meant. I'm just cautious about it.
Nah, I am. I'm crippled by that fear. Give me a walker.
Crippled by it?
That's what he said. He's like, don't let it cripple you. I think it would, yeah.
No, I'm just asking, you're really crippled by it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like my environment that I've been exposed to all my life, or if it's because I'm a woman and we're just like, we kind of have an innate fear like instilled in us, but I also think our society has tried to make us more cautious and aware, and that has instilled an additional level of fear in me.
No, I used to feel that way about, because I have a lot of women friends that run, and they would be worried about things like that, and I used to make fun of it because I thought, well, geez, you're being ridiculous. You're not that attractive, okay? Not everybody's trying to attack you. But after running a lot, I've actually seen a lot of that, where I get why they feel that way.
They're also taught by the news and media and television and movies that they should be afraid. So
it's true. And
that's not
there's some truth
helping.
to it, man. There is some truth to it.
Sure, I mean, yeah.
Even just the uncomfortability of somebody catcalling you. Like once you experience that enough where somebody will catcall you and then you'll be like, no, I'm not interested. And you can be polite and still just walk away. And then they keep following you.
Can I ask an honest question?
That? Yeah.
Take the following part out of it. But if people don't catcall you anymore, do you feel worse?
I think if what?
You put on your Sunday best and you got the makeup and the hair out, and then you walk by a bunch of construction workers and they just continue talking about, how they're going to go to Disney World or something and don't even pay you any attention. Do you go, guy, nothing? Really?
They look over at you and then they just go back and they're like, let's go to work, man.
And they start talking about, boy, I like bologna more than turkey. And you're like, what? I'm right here.
I'm beginning to hit like a crisis recently because somebody said I look much older than I am, and that kind of tore into my self-esteem. But I think when I hit my 40s, that might be more of a fear. Right now, I'm just like, I don't really care. And then at least I'm a little bit safer. I'm more concerned about being attacked. And I do attribute a lot of that to media and film. You watch enough of that, listen to enough true crime podcasts, and you begin to worry about the people who are around you because you can't trust anyone.
If you listen to true crime too much, you stop going outside. I mean, you become agoraphobic because you are just petrified of everything that's going to happen. And you're not wrong, because there's so many, every scenario you can picture where you're not in your own home, and actually even when you are in your own home, they're just like horrible. And then I think Zach's 100% right on that. You don't want to live your life like that. Right. That's a miserable way to live your life. Why? That's not being alive if you're constantly petrified that you're going to get mauled.
Well, I'm just afraid of everything. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to...
Well, we know that. We've heard that before.
Ticks, mostly.
Yeah,
ticks.
Bugs, they do get me. Ugh.
I don't care if I get the HIV, but boy, that tick better not get up there.
The HIV. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I want to ask you guys this. If you were convicted of a crime you did not commit, so you're totally innocent, but you're in jail...
Doesn't everybody say that they are?
Not everybody.
I didn't have anything to do with that. What are you talking about? No.
What would you do? Would you prison break it and try to get out? Or would you continue to try to find more evidence, like with your attorney? Or would you just accept the accept what's going on to you.
You know, I've thought about this before.
It's a sad world that you have.
And it takes me back to a little bit of my thinking in high school when everyone just assumed I was going to be a bad kid. So I was like, well, then I'm going to be a bad kid. So I think if I got convicted of a crime I didn't commit, I would then just be the best criminal I could be.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a completely different answer than anybody I know would have given. So that's interesting.
Because my thinking would be that, well, if the universe is so out to get me that I have not committed a crime and now everyone is telling me I did and I'm going to prison for 20 years, well, then I may as well just be, you got to be the best at what you can do. And once you're a criminal, society is always just going to label you as one. So you may as well be good at it.
Is this the same mindset that cheaters take on? They're like, well, if you want to say that I'm cheating on you and I'm not, then I'll go out and prove to you that I can cheat on you.
That makes sense to me.
Like, wait, I think I've heard this logic before.
And that falls in line with, oh, you're not getting any this month. No, you're not getting any this month. I'm gonna be all right.
That's terrible. What would you do, Aaron?
Well, it depends. I mean, is it because they legitimately, like, I can see how I got railroaded? You know what I mean? I mean, if it was something where the cops cooked up some evidence or something like that, well, now that's a different world than, yeah, I just wrong guy, wrong place, wrong time, and I get why they think I did this thing.
Well, let's say it's the wrong guy, wrong place, wrong time.
I mean, I keep fighting for my freedom.
Would you?
Know? Yep, I'd write a book or something and tell exactly what I thought, because you got nothing but
I
time.
didn't do it.
Yeah.
But if I did, this is what I would have done.
Write the OJ book. I would have done it so much better. Yeah, so that's, I would keep fighting for my freedom. I'm not a quitter.
I'd get my degree, because you can get your degree in there, and then I would get out. I'd be like, I'm gonna get my degree while I'm in here.
Which is insane to me, because there are people that work 80 hours a week that can't afford to go to school. But hey, I committed a crime, so I got to rehabilitate.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a rehabilitation, man. You got to give people the best chance they can to get out. Uh-huh. See, for me, the idea of trying to get my conviction overturned would require faith, and I can't even have faith in, like, God. So why am I going to have faith in people?
Or yourself, apparently.
Maybe you just got a bad jury, man. Maybe you're just in the South, and they just don't like the look of you.
Well,
that's possible.
That'll happen. I'll probably go to my arraignment in my hoodie, so probably not going to do me any favors.
I'd start representing myself, and I'd just do it like my cousin Vinny.
Oh, boy.
I'd be like, all right, these two Utes. That's all I would want to do. And I would clear myself based on grits.
They're like, I've seen this movie before. Bravo. Well done. Good performance.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question for you guys. If you got the $41 million payout, let's say you get all that money solo, because this was a wrongful conviction.
I would
they got
put
this
it
money.
toward committing some serious crimes, and I would toward everybody that wronged me.
Really?
See, here's where the difference the difference comes in. Okay, because like where I'm wrong guy, wrong place, wrong time. I don't blame the cops for that. You're just doing your job. If all the evidence points to me, and you can't, hey man, I get it. Don't blame them. But if they frame my ass. And then I finally get out, that $41 million is devoted to ruining their lives. Every single penny. I don't want a single pool. I don't want a whirlpool. I don't want a new car. I want to wreck their life. Period.
Vengeance.
I like it.
13 years. You're going to get 13 years of payback. Anything I can do within legal means.
Can you do anything within legal means?
Oh, man. With social media, you could smear them so bad. I will Photoshop and meme your ass. I will do all kinds of things. I might do some illegal stuff. I don't even know. I'm not going to.
You could be like Tom Arnold when he.
What?
Yeah.
Tom
Arnold, the actor?
Yeah.
Well, he was abused as a child, and he bought the house that the guy lived in and burned it to the ground.
Good for him.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you could do something like that.
I like it. I'm on board. There's all kinds of things.
I think it's still illegal to commit arson.
No,
you can raise your own property.
Yeah, you can. You have to get permits and all that jive, but
yeah. Okay, so you use the $41 million to burn all of them, buy all of their houses, and then burn them to the ground.
Here's what I would do. Here's my starting point. Okay, this is my starting point. I find out how many officers? Let's say there were 3 officers. Okay, that railroaded them and framed them and whatever. Got those confessions that they didn't. You take some of that money. I mean, yeah, you put some aside. You make sure you give some to mom and dad because they've been dealing with hell trying to get you out of there forever. Okay, I do those
If they
things.
did, maybe they gave up on you 13 years ago.
Well, then they're not really mom and dad anymore, are they? They're Bill and Sarah. So you find out where each of the cops live. You find their address. And you buy a billboard. If you have to build one, that's fine. But you buy a billboard within that general area that every single person they deal with is going to see. And you put on there how they frame this guy with their picture, frame me. Da-da-da, frame these guys, da-da-da-da, and maybe put a link so that they can find information. So everybody
Buy my
they
book
know.
here.
Yeah, everybody they know sees that they did this to you. I would 100% make it my mission in life to make their life suck.
They could write a book about you, The Vindictive Millionaire.
You're with me, Zach. Tell me you're not with me a little bit.
No, I do like that. I do like that plan. See, for me, I get that $41 million. Well, I'm already such a criminal that I have to just invest it in my enterprise.
You're going to Danny Ocean this?
Yeah, I gotta put that money into some illegal escrow. But let's say I didn't become the criminal and I got out and got my $41 million. I would guess I would probably never work again because that story's going to follow you. But I would probably funnel $10, $15 million into the Justice Project or whatever it's called.
Oh, yeah. The Innocence Project.
The Innocence Project. Yeah, I would definitely give them a bunch of money. Because presumably they just help me out.
Good plan. That's very decent of you. I'd get the billboards first, though.
I mean, that's not a bad plan at all.
Humiliation works more than conviction. That's the way I look at it. And everywhere they move, because they'd want to move somewhere else, I'd buy a new billboard.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the house right across the street from them.
I'd buy every house within a general area and put signs in the yard.
Little picket signs.
Everything. It's like, election signs. Nope. We're going to put that. Officer Jackson, dick.
Oh, I like the idea of giving money to the Innocence Project. I think that's a good way to spend the money that you got back. But you do want to start to build yourself and create a life. At least I would, to try to redeem myself in the public's eye, because even these 5 men, they still to this day, there are still people who don't believe that they're innocent.
I'm sure there are.
So with that constant eye over your shoulder, I would want to do something that says like, I was a good person, I stayed a good person, and I'm still a good person.
The person I feel horrible for those guys, but I feel bad for the victim too, because all this time...
You have to.
She hated them, and she probably... I don't know how she can get over that hate, because her brain is already wired that it's their fault, then finds out it's not their fault.
Well, and also the discomfort of feeling like the people who did this to you were locked away.
And they weren't.
And then they were going to get out because their time was up, which is even more frightening. And then all along you realize the people that did it to me, or the person that did it to me, was never convicted. They were never tried for what they did to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a horrible story.
And what else, if I would have been able to help get the right person.
She needs to get a billboard too.
She should have her own billboard.
She should. And she should get some of that money too, honestly. Justice wasn't served for her.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
That may be extreme. I don't know, but.
I don't think so. But personally, and I'm not speaking for her or putting this on her in any way, I personally would feel...
Do we need to take a shot here?
Guilty.
I feel like we're going to need to take a shot.
I would feel guilty because this person that did it to her then went to jail for committing other crimes. I would feel like I'm somehow responsible for not being able to find not get the right person. No, I'm not saying that's correct.
Nothing's her fault.
And I'm not saying that.
Unless she said it was them and it wasn't, then it's her fault.
Right. No. And I'm not putting that on her, and I'm not saying that's correct or accurate or anything like that. I'm just saying that's how I would feel. So I would have I would never be able to get over that grief.
All right. Anything else?
No, I went through way too many questions. That was not 3.
Do you think that my conspiracy theory holds any weight? Do you think they paid off that guy to get themselves out?
I like it. I wanted a
movie.
movie.
No, because they had DNA corroborating evidence, so no.
Because they paid off the cop too, man.
You know what? Okay, now it's the Zapruder film. It's a little too extreme. I don't think there's a magic bullet here. It sounds like there was enough. What's the title of? We already know it's true.
Yeah, I told you that.
Way to spoil it. So what is the title of your story?
Runner's High.
Oh, man, I knew that was going to be the name.
Because I said it twice.
Well, yeah, yeah.
That's definitely a tip.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as our show goes, we will occasionally pick listener stories to read and discuss on Smirk. If you'd like the chance to have yours read, email it to mystory@smirkpodcast.com. You can join the conversation by joining our Facebook group or follow us on Twitter @SmirkPodcast, and be sure to use the show's hashtag Smirk. Tell your friends. Tell them. Share it. If you like this show, tell your friends, and then they can do shots with us.
I was going to say, if you don't like it, also tell them, because those downloads still count.
Don't miss an episode. Be sure to subscribe to Smirk on your podcast app of choice, and check out our website at smirkpodcast.com.
And as you write your own life story, always remember to tell it with a smirk.
Hey, Zach, sexual assault.
Boy.
How about that, huh?
I almost laughed
The
out loud.
principle of the story was not about the sexual assault. The principle of
Well,
the
as soon
story...
as you started telling it, Zach and I were like, well, we're going down this road again.
It was just funny. It was pretty tough when, oh man, you guys said something about a and I was going to be like, sounds like
Oh, thank God you did not say that.
I did not say it.
How many bleeps can we get in one episode?
I was thinking about it, though. It sounded funny to me.